life is lifing, we're providing you with the tools that you need to make the best decisions for your future, protecting families and providing coverage that you need. Reach out to me today and let's get you qualified. 832-590-0691.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast. I'm your host, Danny and today I have a very special guest, Faith. How's it going this hot afternoon or evening?
It is good. It's hot.
It's good and hot.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely right. And for those
it's been like 100, right? 100 this whole week.
Oh yeah, literally for like the last month or two, honestly.
90s to hundreds.
Yeah, it's been really, really humid, hot, but we're not here to complain. We're actually here to talk about a very important topic. And Faith, we just again want to thank you for spending some of this hot summer evening with us to talk about this topic.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. And I kind of just sprung this up on everybody last minute. I didn't let anybody know that this show was going to happen, which I kind of prefer it nowadays. I like to just do it. But anyway, so today's topic is lifestyle and environment. Lifestyle and environment. Now, Faith, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. If you want, you can tell people who you are and also kind of introduce this topic, if you will.
Okay, so I'm Faith. I do music. I am not going to say I'm a professional musician because I don't have my music out, but I do covers and I like to post like travel videos on YouTube. And I just noticed like with my travels and just in general, like what other people tell me and what I see around me and the weather, of course, out right now is crazy. In Texas, it's bipolar. It's like it's changing so much, and it's changed so much in the past decade, and especially in the past few years. You can just tell the incline of the heat. Everything is just the pollution. Everything is just overwhelming. The ozone layer, it's all overwhelming, and we just wanted to talk about that today. We had a good
for sure. Like
day, and so
you're telling straight facts. Like within I've been living here in this southern region of Texas for about 14 years, and it has really increasingly gotten hotter, more chaotic, more traffic, more people, more homes going up, less trees, less, a lot of deforestation, a lot more pollutants are going on. A lot of big corps are pumping out a lot of toxins, a lot of toxic chemicals in the air that people can't see. So we're not really aware of it.
And you know what I found out? I found out about like the power plants and such because we have a bunch in Pasadena. That's actually where a lot of them started. Like it's one of the oldest type of power plants and stuff. Mm-hmm. But in Pasadena, Texas, which is where I'm from actually, they say like when I did my research, there's nuclear plants. So they go off of thermal energy and they convert that to like in their generators, they convert that to energy, right? Electricity. Mm-hmm. There is only in Texas, what I found out, there's only 8% of nuclear, which is what they're called, nuclear thermal plants. There's only 8%. And then the most that they have is coal, which is 18%, or no, natural gas, right? That's 48%, and then coal, 18%. They have those which which cause pollution. So like there's so many of those, and that's like the most that the US has. And like
and like this state that we're in produces a lot a
Hmm.
lot of toxins from these power plants. And like they do the best that they can do by insulating the radioactive chemicals that come out of it, or I guess radioactive ions that they call it. But again, like regular, normal, average people aren't thinking about that. You know, we're just up living our day to day lives. We're getting up, going to work. We're doing our grocery shopping. We're if we have kids, we're taking care of them. If not, we're just finding things to do. And we're not even thinking about when we breathe in and exhale. You know, we're releasing a lot of carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. That's going along with the other pollutants that are, creating CO2, which is now increasing the greenhouse effect, right? Which is the
Because, like, sorry,
no,
because
go
because whenever we have like okay, the trees, everybody knows that there's male trees and female trees, right? We mainly, like, especially here in America and the States, we mainly have male trees because it's more aesthetically pleasing. It's easier to maintain, and it, like, you know, like, there's not fruits everywhere. Like, the fruit bearing trees are the female trees, but those are the ones that filter out the pollution. Those are the ones that, like, help with all the allergens in the air and such. It's all the female plants. But the
I
government,
want you to talk up on and repeat that again too, Faith, because I'm pretty sure there's somebody that's gonna watch this show and gonna be like, "Oh my God, I did not know that." So say that again and speak up because I know you're educating somebody right now.
that that most of the US, most of the states, we have male dominant trees, like the male trees. There's male and female trees. The male trees, like human males, they produce sperm, and those go to the female trees that produce, you know, the offspring, the fruit. And so the fact that we have more male trees is what causes all this pollution and causes us to have allergies, and we it can't really be helped because our lungs can only do so much. We only use 70% of our lung capacity if you have healthy lungs. So it's kind of, you have to, and the main death, which is what I found out, the second is malaria, the main cause of death, right? And then the first is usually indoor pollution as well. Like, we don't want to be outside in that heat, ugh, you know. So
Mhm.
we're inside, but a lot of the pollution comes from indoors actually too. So it's
Yeah. And then we don't even think about this, right? Some of our toxins come from right at home. Tien says facts. Faith, you're over here preaching to the people. And he's actually like a very nature type person, so he knows about plants. So you really confirmed a lot with him. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool, and we need to think about that. You know, our fruits, right? We have female and male versions of fruits too,
Mhm.
and we don't think about that either. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I don't think about it, right? So I think that's pretty cool within itself. Everything's for the most part alive and thriving or trying to thrive, but these pollutants are really killing off a lot of our natural resources, our animals, our biomass. You know, we use biomass to produce energy as well, and it's a little bit less, I guess, debilitating than nuclear. Actually, no. Actually, what do you think? I'm going to ask you this, Faith. Would you say nuclear power is more of a pollutant than biomass? You know,
I feel like it is because, from, again, I'm not a professional. This is just like my research on a database network, you know, that I search myself, and then I just search and search and go down the wormhole searches and what other people document. So from what I've researched, right, it's, I feel like like, we can't really win unless there's a regulation on it. So it's like, it's just, there's so much stuff in the ozone, you know, like, there's so many holes. The biggest ones are where the poles are, the North and South Antarctica, right?
yeah.
The poles are the worst because everything goes there, like the currents go there, and the ozone, like, the thickest, or however it works, it gets evaporated into the clouds, which goes back into the pollution, the rain clouds, you know, it's all a cycle. But with the power plants and stuff, they say the nuclear is the best because it doesn't have, like, it's not like a fossil fuel like coal. You know, it's not like, it goes off of heat and steam,
Yeah.
but it does emit a lot of radioactive waste, you know? So I'm like, that's not good. People don't even like recycling, and they're like, well, you just throw it in another bin. They don't even like recycling. How
I
they,
think we've gotten kind of like lazy. I
yeah.
think we've gotten lazy. We don't think about it. And then also we don't practice, a lot of us don't practice good habits. And we
Yeah, like,
were,
when you recycle, people, you're supposed to take off the plastic or take off the tops. People like, leave the water bottle screwed on top, the top. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, like, they consider it contaminated, and not a lot of people know that, which is
No, a lot of people don't know that.
Mhm.
You just taught me that. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know that either. I mean, and then speaking on the cycle of precipitation, when you think about the rain that's falling, right? A lot of it nowadays is acid rain. We don't even think about that either, right? Because like the lakes and most of the water that natural the natural habitat and ecosystem has to use to survive, almost every year is becoming more acidic. So I didn't know this. I did a little bit of research before this show that typically fish die at a pH level, a water that has a pH level of 4.5, I believe, or lower. And I believe there's a few water reserves here, right here in Texas, that have pH balances of 4.4. So that's deadly for fish. So we wonder why we see on the news from time to time a whole school of fish, have just washed up on shore. Well, the reason why is because all of the toxins that are in the air, plus the toxins that we're emitting from our cars, from the airplanes, from the little bitty things that we're doing inside of our homes that we're not thinking about, all of that is getting evaporated into the dust particles, and then is precipitated back down to the earth, but in a more acidic form. So now it's washing off the acid that's on your car that's been sitting there all day because of all the toxic gases. And if you live in major cities like Faith and I, there's tons of pollution here. We're
yeah,
not proud of that. There's nothing we can really do about it until each individual decides to change their or tweak their lifestyle a bit,
like
because
air purifiers or
yeah. And that's not, we're not saying you have to, because obviously we're not professionals in this, area of environmental science. But this is like common knowledge and also accessible to every human that has access to the internet. And also, to every human that actually wants to make a positive change in our world, because we're only going to increase in number, right?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And what is it? You know how like we're surrounded by a whole bunch of water, right? Like I feel like everybody knows this, but just in case they don't, because information is always powerful. There's only 1.2% of drinkable water and only 2.5% of fresh water. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that blow your
Yeah.
mind?
And everything else is salt water,
Yeah.
right? And what's crazy is that's kind of scary, but at least we have ways to purify like salt water and turn it into fresh water. But on the other note, there's a lot of damage that we're doing to our oceans, right? With underground, I'm just gonna say underground rigs, because I don't want to call any particular companies out, just in general.
Hmm.
There things happen, there's accidents that occur, and it spills over gallons, hundreds and thousands of gallons of oil into our oceans, and then that changes the pH of the salt water. And we're not thinking about that, right?
Hmm.
'Cause we're not out in the ocean. A lot of us aren't fishermen out there catching those big king crab and everything else for the restaurants to get shipped back. But the reality is, when those types of accidents happen, it affects the entire ecosystem, right, in the ocean. And a lot of us humans, we depend on that food. A lot of people don't live on the grid. There's a lot of people that live off the grid that depend on that food. So, I mean, everything we do is a chain reaction.
Yeah, I
Everything.
like to say everything is a cycle. Like everything is a cycle, and it's just like our water sources, even like how you said only a certain amount is drinkable, right? But how you said like these corporations are just pouring it into the water, which filters to the poles like north and south, and then that filters into the rainwater and goes back to the acid rain. And there's not much we can do because it's individual as well as like corporations all involved. But it's also, if you think about the cycles of like how the water, I don't know much about the filtration and how it works with the city water and stuff, but that
Look, Faith,
it's
it
so,
barely works.
yeah, like I feel like we always have to get something to make it more pure, like
Yes.
with the water, and it's all rusted. Most of like the urban piping is older, it's rusted. Some parts need to be fixed again, and you can just tell, like, you
Yeah.
know, it needs to be filtered out more, but a lot of that is also what they deem as drinkable water and stuff like that, right?
And it's like, who gets to decide that though? Because if they really put the sheet of stats of statistics right in front of us, I'm pretty sure a lot of us would not agree to it. But I also know, they're doing, and I guess in my opinion, they're doing the best that they can. I mean, we have millions of people in this city, just in
Yeah.
this city. So it is a lot. It's a lot, and it requires a lot of energy, a lot of filtration, like you said, a lot of chemicals. Those chemicals cost to purify the water. And then we have to think about we're actually down in those chemicals when we drink it.
Hmm. Like they say fluoride is in a lot of the water. Like I know that you use it for when you brush your teeth and you're not supposed to drink it a certain amount, but how much of it is actually like in the water, how much of it that I don't know. But
Fun fact,
if
I
it's
used to eat my toothpaste, my Crest toothpaste when I was growing up. I did.
really,
Yeah, I'm not ashamed. It tastes so good. It was the bubblegum flavor. I was not supposed to do that. So if I'm still alive today, we'll be okay. But getting back to the topic.
no, my aunt, I'm not gonna say which one, I'm not gonna call her out. She used to eat Play-Doh.
Oh no. Where did it go?
You're better off.
Me toothpaste, her Play-Doh. Oh, okay. Anyways, but yeah, so it's a lot. We're not on here trying to like comfort anybody or anything, but I mean it's something to think about because I know everybody that's watching this show right now knows that there's something not right about the temperature. This temperature is off
Right.
the chain.
And I think it's interesting. A lot of people like the Netherlands, Amsterdam, right? We all know like they ride bikes, right? But their air is better there, of course. They don't have as much pollution. Their people are healthier. And in
Mhm.
Japan also, like most people use, well, I'm not saying I've never been. I mean, from what I hear, from like the most people use the subways and trains and like the ones that are off of electric or the solar.
Mhm.
There's some fuel based trains, but I feel like it's overall cleaner because more people are willing to walk in certain countries and everything
Yeah,
is
like
different.
they've created good habits,
Mm-hmm.
and we've created lazy habits. In
Yeah.
my opinion. Like we cannot go anywhere, especially in this state, without a car,
No.
without getting a ride, because it's just like everything's so far apart. Everything's spaced out in such large
There's no
distance.
bike lanes. I have a bike, but I don't really get to bike at much places because there's no bike lanes. People don't care for bikers, no respect.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's just like I said. It's just each state has their own little cultural way. It's so funny. It's not like this whole entire nation operates the same. Each state is its own like person, right? Good and bad habits. So that's true. There's a lot of communities even that still don't have sidewalks. And I'm like, how can you build a whole community of homes without sidewalks? Like that's kind of
hmm
crazy. So we need to think about that. That's a good point you
yeah,
made.
and also how like I didn't want to bring this up, but I kind of have to bring it up because it's something that bothers me, and I felt this is the best place to vent. How people like in the military, most of the military money or the money funded for the government goes to the military, right? Why
Hmm.
not get that 25%, break it up and put 5% at least into our healthcare to help the healthcare, help the workers, you know, make it a more like cuz we all know that the nurses and the doctors are very overworked. They're not appreciated enough. They do a lot. They have so many patients they get to, and the culture in there is just so stressed that they're all under even more stress because everybody else is stressed, and it's not the easiest profession to be in. So it's like, why not put extra percentage into that to care for more for those workers as well? They're just as important, and they deserve an equal amount of share, because
Hmm.
oh, I just feel like that's something that also is important instead of spending it on things that are unnecessary. Why not spend it on like helping the homeless and helping people get off the streets and then helping it go to our environment? Because obviously, if you're homeless, you can't really recycle as easy. So why not put an easier? I've never seen a recycle bin in I'm not gonna say where, but like in a lot of stores, you don't really see recycle bins. You don't really see recycle bins outside, like in Japan.
Yeah, that's
So,
facts. Even if you like put one by a tree, like out literally outside.
hmm
Yeah, literally outside. That's a very good point because a lot of bottles, caps, plastics, chip bags, candy wrappers. I mean, the list, look, plastic from something you just bought. The list goes on from the amount of trash that I see just on the streets at night. And then think about how much trash, like I saw a video, I can't remember how much the trash weighed, but it was an enormous amount of plastic that was pulled out of the ocean. It had just literally collected along the shoreline. That just lets you know, everyone, how much trash we're just throwing like on the ground in the
Mhm.
ocean, like nothing even matters. And when when I was a teenager, I used to think people used to take this whole environment thing like way too far. I'm like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
relax. We'll recycle. Just hold on. But now that I'm older, you know what I mean? Like I'm like saying I can definitely see the climate change as a result of us not, doing what we need to do and be responsible individuals, which kind of helps us segue into lifestyle, right? So what would you say? Like, what's some good advice for someone who really does want to improve the environment around them? Like, what are some ways that they can change their lifestyle in order to do that?
Hmm. I feel like just being more aware of what you're like the other day we were talking about food and health and just in general trying to be like healthier, right? And doing better for the environment. So I feel like a lot of that instead of because a lot of takeout, let's say it's just the little things, right? It's the little things like the takeout, recycling, reusing them, or just putting them in a recycle bin, or just instead of using their plasticware, just have like a set that you have on you. People are gonna think I'm extreme. They're gonna be like, "Girl, you're crazy. That's too much."
No, I don't think you are. I have
But
a friend. She bought. Actually, I have some. This I don't know if it was metal or
recycle.
steel straws. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, we still have some here at home. And I never thought she was crazy. I was like, actually, that's pretty smart because why do I want to use the silverware at restaurants that everyone's put their mouth on, and
hmm
why would I want to use plastic ones? That's just adding to the trash and waste that we already have. So it
right.
makes sense.
Yeah. So I feel like that's one of them. Like having because I have some,
Hmm.
and it's like pretty much a survival kit I got from the Columbia store. I got it, and there was like their hiking gear. So it has a knife, it has a bottle opener, it has a fork and a spoon,
Hmm.
and so I just use that.
But see, you're
Or
dedicated and you created a good habit. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's so many people who aren't disciplined enough and they're not going to take out time to create this good habit. But in a minute, I feel like we're gonna be forced to because Earth is gonna continue going through this cycle and it's gonna get serious enough to make people aware that hey, something has to give. So we're talking around this issue as much as we can. Hopefully I get it flagged, but I think we did a pretty good job. But some really good toxins, not good toxins, bad toxins to really consider that are in the air right now as we speak is sulfuric acid, nitric acid, carbon dioxide. Of course, that's the lead. That's like the big dog in the greenhouse effect. And so, like I said, so many people didn't want to believe that when this narrative was brought to the forefront a few years ago. But now I think at least the people that are in southern states in this nation can really feel the change. We really can. This has to be one of the hottest summers we've had in over 10 years.
and something that most like that's been going on for years ever since I was young. Like everybody knows, like Galveston on the Gulf of Mexico. It's our beach, Houston Beach, the closest beach to Houston, and it's full of toxins. Like they always regulate the fish, eating the fish because they have so much chemicals and just so much bad stuff in them, and they're just not good to eat because they carry diseases and all the
So
wood.
what about when we get into the ocean there? We're not even thinking about that part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these toxins can be absorbed in the skin. Not
Yeah,
thinking about that part.
chlorine, and it's called biome or something like biomine, and it's like this red goo liquid, like liquid tarsh. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not good. Yeah,
It sounds like it's not good.
yeah. Scary movie, like the stuff the like the toxic waste that turns people into mutant
Yes.
superheroes.
Let me say hey to everybody. Sorry. Hey, hey, shout out to Titan Spartan. Thanks for tuning in. TMI Tate. Listen, tonight, yesterday was your night, but you might go on again tonight. So make sure you check out his show as well, guys. You need to send me drop your link in the comments, TMI Tate. Don't be shy. So I can spread the word. All right. So those are my my friends. They're not just listeners. Those are my friends. So yeah, like this is crazy. We don't think about all the things that we can't see. And like the old school saying was like, oh, it can't hurt you. Like the things that you don't know won't hurt you. And it's
Right.
literally things that you do not know can literally kill you. And I think we need to keep that in the back of, actually in the front, the forefront of our minds.
Like the water
Because
that we use, especially.
no, you're not shy. You're not shy at all. What am I talking about? Go ahead, Faith. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. It's just I have the worst. Like for me, like it pops. Like I forgot to add on, but it was like with the water, like how you said what we can do every day, or what we could do more to like better help, like the filtration on the water, right, on your shower, on your tap, when just getting those water bottles that you can reuse and then you can recycle the filter. But
Yes.
also the like where people use face masks and stuff, like the beauty products, like that too. That's something also. Like it's kind of the same concept, but just kind of really get to thinking of like what do you use and what can you reuse. Like instead of using the scrubbies too, like instead of using like the loofahs, I just
Mhm.
get rags and I just wash them and reuse them.
Yeah.
And then also like with the face wipes, like you
Mhm.
can get reused, like the same thing, those reusable cloths. And
Oh, that I didn't know.
yeah,
There's
I've seen some on
reusable
Amazon.
baby diapers, like the cloth diapers.
Hmm.
I don't ever want to try that, but if I ever decided to go extreme, then I know what to do.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to tell you something that's actually kind of scary that happened to me when I first moved here because I wasn't, nobody told me that I couldn't drink the water here, right? So I was drinking the water with no filter, Faith. And I remember I
Feel
started getting
that.
these blotches on my back. I had to go to the doctor. And you know what I did? When I told some of my friends what was going on to me, they were like, well, tell me what it is that you're doing. Like, what are you eating? Like, literally, we're doing like a process, like an elimination diet type of thing. I was
Hmm.
like, well, I've been drinking a lot of water because they were like, are you drinking water? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, are you drinking the water unfiltered? I was like, yeah. And they were like, don't do that. I was like, I didn't know. So seriously, this is a really, really serious topic. It can change the cellular makeup of who you are. You really have to be careful. So I was lucky that I caught it, that I noticed the change in my body. I was just being like so naive. I had no idea that you need a filter on everything that you do in this city. And now we have a filter that runs through our entire home, thanks to my husband. Shout out to him. But
Wow.
yeah, I
I
mean,
still
you
don't
just
even have a filter on everything. I feel so
yeah,
bad.
because when you
But
shower, you're showering in the same toxins if you don't have a filter.
and it
Running
gets in
through
your
the entire you.
pores. And I've been doing like different skincare regimes too. Like I've been trying to get my skin right,
Mhm.
but it's just that water does not help. It doesn't help. And no matter
Not
how
at
much
all.
clean, it's just the cleaner water, the better in general. But
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. It's so scary. Oh my gosh,
and
and
it's
it's
just
so
like
funny because we're
it's
just like
some
I said, superficially talking about the topic. If
yeah.
we really pulled out the real hardcore facts, it will blow people's minds. In fact, I think I just might, since we're talking about it. So before we wrap everything up, we were talking about toxic chemicals. We were talking about how lifestyle can actually help improve. Changing in lifestyle can actually improve our environmental, status. Right now, I know that people can see the change in temperature, the change in elevation of like humidity and smog. We need to talk about smog. That's a whole nother thing. I know for me, when I travel out of state and I'm flying back into this city, I won't say, but anyways, flying back into the city, there's literally a plume of dirt. I'm not kidding. Faith, have you ever seen that?
Yes, it's horrible. Like the light pollution, everything. It's just sad to see. And then you can tell, like if you like, I've been in the mountains recently. I've been and every time I go into the mountains, it's just the air feels so much nicer. Like yeah, you go up the elevation, they say it's harder to breathe, but it just feels a little cleaner, less of that like that dirt you breathe in. Like it feels harder to breathe in once you come back.
No, I know
And
exactly what you mean.
so it really shows. Like if
Mhm. Back in
we're not keeping.
2007, I think, or 2006, this was a long time ago. I flew out, I think I was flying from Dallas, Texas to San Jose, California. Now, it may not be the cleanest right now. It may not be the cleanest right now, but back then it was when I stepped off that plane, Faith, I was like, I literally did that like a commercial because I was like, the air was so light and it was so pure. That's the only like word that comes to my
Right.
mind when I inhaled, and it was not the same feeling that I felt living here. And
Mm.
I really hate to say that, but that is the absolute truth. And I was like, wow, I was saying then, I was like, I need to move. But now I'm looking at California and I'm seeing all of these wildfires, another environmental hazard that's going on, probably a byproduct of a lot of pollutants and the lack of, rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, now I'm seeing how they're living over there, and I'm like, ooh, like, is there any place we can live right now where we can really feel that again?
Right. I feel like it's how everything, like humans, we're I feel like this is gonna be a little controversial maybe, but I feel like humans are supposed to be nomadic creatures. We're supposed to be like kind of like how like pollen is, right? We're not supposed to
Mhm.
be in one spot all the time, but that's just my personal belief. Like
Right.
I always feel antsy just being in the same spot all the time. And I'm not speaking for everybody, it's just my thoughts. I think that humans is just kind of the same thing. Like
Well, we
and
should
like
be. Should be.
we
But I
should,
think like we're so modernized now.
yeah, like
People
it's
just don't,
different.
we're not doing anything that we used to do. We're not really we have to be forced to exercise, Faith. I'm talking about myself. Like I'm not gonna
Me
naturally
too.
go out there and walk. You know what I mean? Like 5 miles a day. I'm literally gonna have to be pushed by a trainer. So anybody that's watching this show right now, I am in pursuit of a personal trainer. I got some weight I would like to get off of me, and I need to be disciplined to do it. So, like, reach out to me seriously. Let's drop some stats for them, Faith, before we go. So, I'm looking up toxic chemicals right now, and a few toxic chemicals that, like, right out comes out: motor vehicle emissions of nitrogen and sulfuric oxide. So, I was just saying that sulfuric acid, nitric acid, or nitric oxide,
Mhm.
all of that is really bad. It causes acid rain, what we were talking about earlier, and it affects fish and all aquatic organisms that's in the lakes, rivers, even the ocean, like we talked about. And then the other culprit, talking about toxic chemicals, are carbon dioxide gas, and that contributes greatly to the greenhouse effect, which we can clearly see now. It is not even a conspiracy anymore. Like there's clearly a climate change going on, right? Faith hit it when she talked about the ozone layer. We can't see it with our eyes, so a lot of us don't even think about it, but it's out there and it's there to protect our planet. And if we destroy that, guys, that's it. Like I don't know
Well,
what's gonna happen because it protects us against the like UV lights. When you guys put on sunblock, everybody has to. I used to think that Faith, because I'm black, I didn't need sunblock, but I quickly learned when I went to Jamaica and other like Central America locations that I quickly needed it. Okay, like I came back to the U.S. burnt. I didn't know. I wish somebody would have told me. Hey, shout out to Will the Fresh from Sarcasm and Orgasms. He says I have a personal trainer. It's called My Paycheck, so I exercise that every week. Goodbye, Will. Good. I need a physical fitness personal trainer, sir. Okay, we exercise our checks all the time. That's the truth right there.
that's what causes all this waste, all this plastic.
That's so true. What was I talking about? Ozone layer and protection against UV radiation. So you guys think that we're using sunblock now? Let that ozone layer get torn up and see what happens, right? Like, right, Faith? Like,
Like
I
Australia. Mm-hmm.
can't even imagine what would happen. And then let's talk about oil drilling, which we kind of talked about it. We talked about like how some accidents occur, some things are out of our control, right? But when it happens, it's really bad, and they don't really air it on the news as much because they don't want people to freak out. But it really does. It plays it wreaks very much havoc on the marine environment wherever it may be, right? No matter what ocean it's in, we think that, oh, the ocean will be fine. It's so much ocean, but like it has to balance itself as well. And it takes time. Also, another good one, and I know I have to watch how I say this one, but your common pesticides, right? We use pesticides to get rid of like weed, like our weed killers, our pesticides to get rid of like roaches, ants, spiders, grub worms, etc. All of that, those are toxins. Like you're killing those insects, but what else are you killing? Like we're not even thinking about that, right? Do you want to speak to that? I'm over here just going hard by myself, Faith. Sorry.
No, I agree. I'm here. I hear you. I feel like it's also in how we're taught how we clean. Like now we have to, like, you're supposed to clean them with apple cider vinegar, soak them in because that's how much pesticides are in them, and it's not like, and with
Yeah.
all the pesticides, again, it's the cycle and everything, but it's just kind of, it's so scary. And like the pollution, how we were talked about earlier, it's like they did a study, some American college did a study, and they said if our air were to be a little cleaner, if we had clean air, people would live up to 4 months longer than they do now.
Wow.
Yeah.
4 months. That may not seem like a lot to somebody else, but I want all mine. It's just like my
Mhm.
money. I want all my money. I want all my life.
If people don't care about the animals in the ocean, that could be
Yeah.
4 months
And that's a
of
whole,
our
oh, put
lives.
a pin in that because I don't want to forget to talk about that, about animals, about lifestyle and animals. We're gonna
Mhm.
get back to that. Okay, so we talked about pesticides, and like not only do they kill the pests that you're trying to eliminate, not only do the weed killers kill the weeds that you're trying to eliminate, but it can also cause harm to the human cells, right? We see a lot of those what are they called? You know how you see those? No, not ads. They're like, oh, if you were affected by da 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 da, call this number. And it's because they realize over a certain number of years that anybody that was exposed to that particular pesticide or weed killer developed some type of form of cancer, right?
Like lung
We
cancer and
see it. We see it.
yeah.
Shayna says we use the stuff and bam, next thing you know is mesothelioma over commercial.
Right. And then they just have like the pill ads like, oh, do this to solve this, but it causes this and side effects.
Oh,
Like, no, that's not how we should
oh
do
my
it.
God, Faith. Yes. Like,
Hmm.
and then they try to say it really fast and really
Yeah, like I
low.
caught that. I could rewind. I got the rewind button.
But I'm saying, like, that whole like page or novel that you just read off in the commercial was like not beneficial because you're giving me that pill to solve one problem, and then you gave me 13 additional issues.
Most of the commercials, them listing the side effects.
I don't even know how they're getting away with this, but part of it I think has to do with like the way we eat, talking about lifestyle, how
Mhm.
you were talking about, the fluorine that's in the water, and when we're drinking it and we're bathing in it, how it blocks certain things and our ability to really like reason and
Mhm.
think. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that plays a factor and a role. And we're always so much on go because we're trying to get that next paycheck or trying to be involved in our family's lives, whatever your situation is, you're on the go. You really don't have time to truly think about what it is that you're doing on a day to day. It's become really autonomous, but it's scary, right?
Yeah, it really is. And I feel like most people, they don't really sit down and, or if they do sit down and think of it, they try to like soothe themselves into thinking, it's not me, but that's not helping the problem. It's just,
Yeah, no, you're right. I also wanted to hit some hard facts. So there is I can't say the name of the company because I don't know who's watching, but there's a really big corporation in Fairfield, Texas, is all I'll say, pumping out 68 million pounds of toxins every year, especially as of last year. That is a lot. These toxins include sulfuric acid, which can affect your ability to breathe, nitrogen oxide, like I mentioned earlier, and carbon dioxide. No, I'm not going to say it, Tim.
I'm like,
We're not
please tell
knocking
us,
that
tell
mouth
us,
off.
tell
Not
us.
today. My husband already told me. My mama told me to close my mouth, and that's what I'm going to do
Hey,
today.
you're gonna have to tell me off air then, because I want to
I
know. I
sure
don't even
will.
know.
68 million, like that is a lot of toxic chemicals, guys. And okay, and we talked about so far on this show today, we talked about toxins that are in the air that comes from your motor vehicles. And some of you guys are not, I don't know how you guys are passing this auto registration check for your vehicle, because I see so much black smoke coming out of so many older trucks and cars. Like, please. TMI says I never had sinus trouble until I moved here. Oh, I believe you. I didn't have nosebleeds until I moved down to this city. When the city I lived in before this one in Texas, I never had a nosebleed. So that's how I knew this area was highly toxic,
I
highly toxic. So my last point, because it looks like a storm is coming in quickly. So what I wanted to say is that, guys, just remember, toxic chemicals can be found like literally everywhere in the air, the soil, the water. in our bodies now, because our bodies absorb what we're around, people. And if you live close to a nuclear power plant, you may want to reconsider. You may want to relocate. I'm not trying to shun anybody who found their dream home right down the street from the Simpsons power plants, but you might want to reconsider all that steam that's coming out of that nuclear reactor, because that's some stuff that you don't want to be a part of. And there is a real city in Pennsylvania. I think it's called Centralia. You guys can look it up. Centralia, Pennsylvania. It literally reminds you of a. Have you guys seen the movie Silent Hill? Some of you may, some of you may not. But literally, that movie was pitched off of that town because nobody lives there now, because there's so much radioactive material that's left behind right now today because of a nuclear explosion, a nuclear chain reaction that happened that was out of control. He says, "Hey, I think I get menstrual cramps now. I'm done with you." TMI sign off. I'm so done. But Faith, did you have any closing words? We went way longer than I
Yeah,
had.
but I really, it's so important and it's so fun to get into because it's just, you can just, there's so much stuff we can do and like so much stuff we can bounce off each other to be more creative how to help. But I feel like if you can get air purifiers and plant some more female plants, let's start what is it called? Let's do a strike of the regulation, go to the courts, let us
Let's do a plant now.
neutralize the female to male ratio of plants.
Yeah, seriously though, like we can for real do that. And we
Because I
can
feel
get
like that
together
would
for
help.
sure. We need to
That's
get
it.
together because I want you to help me with my lifestyle change. I want to eat more veggies and fruits than I do meat. I'm not gonna become vegan. I already know that, but myself is just not in my DNA. I have tried, but I will try to eat more plants, vegetables, fruits than I do animals, because at this point the way we're eating meat, especially here in this state, they don't have a choice but to clone the chicken. Everybody loves chicken. It doesn't matter what race you are, Faith. I'm serious. Listen, black people love chicken, white people love chicken, Asian people love chicken, Filipino people love chicken, Hispanic people love chicken, and we all cook it
Mm-hmm.
differently.
Oh,
It is all good. So,
we
that's
eat
something we have to
anything and everything. We eat cow cheek to the hoofs, like everything.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And pigs too. Poor piglets. All
Mhm.
right, guys. Okay, so Shayna says, I love veggies. Meat is starting to make me sick. You know what it's probably trying to tell you? Your body's trying to tell you that you've had way too much. Time to do a colon cleanse.
But also, make sure that whenever you wash your fruit, be careful of that faucet water, even if it is, filtered. Just they say what I've looked up, they said to use apple cider vinegar in water because apple cider vinegar is really good at cleaning, right? And it's healthy. You can eat it. It's perfect. So just to make sure if you want to be extra, extra careful when you're really trying to
That's a very good
help
point.
you.
As we stated earlier, all the water that we drink here has to be refiltered by us.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast. I'll see you guys later tonight because I'm going to have another special guest on. And this guy is super talented. All right. So, Faith, I want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
so
a
much
guest on the
for
show.
having me. It was so nice to talk
This was
to
a
y'all.
this is a spectacular topic, honestly. And I'm going to have you back because I really want to talk more about the lifestyle change that we didn't get a chance to get to. And also, I want to drop some real stats without naming any corporations so you guys will know what's really going on. All right, guys, until another hour and 30 minutes, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.